One of Seven Heaven star Stephen Collins' accusers is speaking out about the predatory behavior she says she faced as a child. On the first episode of Investigation Discovery's new 6-part docuseries Hollywood Demons, April Price recounted a series of disturbing encounters she said she had with the actor in 1983, when she was 13 years old. Price, who grew up in Oklahoma, said she flew to Los Angeles that summer to spend time with her Aunt Cindy, a commercial producer who at the time lived in the same building as Collins. I remember wanting to get a headshot from him, Price said, recalling one of their first encounters. When I knocked on the door and he opened the door, he was a tall, blonde-haired, blue-eyed god that was really nice and drove a sports car. Price said she was impressed with the actor, but said she found his message on the photo to April, "Come out and see us again sometime. Love, Stephen Collins, off-putting." Why would he say that? She wondered, but carried on around Collins as usual until a few days later. Price said that one morning, while her aunt was at work, she was sitting in the kitchen, which opened onto the building's courtyard. I look up and I see Stephen Collins. He was in the courtyard. He was going left to right, and he had a wad of clothes in his hands, and he was completely naked, she alleged. Did I just see that? Did I just see what I thought I saw? Price recalled asking herself. It was so jarring, so unexpected, and I know he saw me standing there. Because of the frequent presence of Collins and girlfriend and later wife Faye Grant around the building, Price said that a sexual thing did not come into my mind. But that was just the first in a series of increasingly menacing encounters she claimed Collins forced on a 13-year-old. The actor was coming off his first big break that year, a starring role in the popular ABC adventure series Tales of the Gold Monkey. He would land the most transformative role of his career a decade later when he was cast as Reverend Eric Camden, the kindly patriarch on the family drama Seven Heaven. Collins guided the Camdens through all manner of spiritual crises from 1996 to 2007, but his genteel public image was tarnished when in October 2014, TMZ released a segment of audio recorded in secret by Grant during a 2012 joint therapy session in which Collins admitted to molesting an 11-year-old girl and having inappropriate contact with others, including exposing himself to a neighbor's young relative, whom Price identified as herself. Shortly after the audio leaked, Collins went on the record confessed to engaging in inappropriate sexual contact with 3 underage girls between 1973 and 1994. Adding in a 2020 interview with Katie Couric days later that he himself was sexually harassed in his youth. Still, when asked by Couric if he believed himself to be a pedophile, Collins responded, "I do not fit either the clinical or dictionary definition of it. I'm absolutely not attracted, physically or sexually attracted to children." Days after witnessing Collins in the courtyard, Price said she approached the actor for help setting up an Atari gaming system. With Cindy away at work again, Collins invited himself inside. Price alleged that Collins was in the living room in my aunt's apartment, hooking up that Atari, and he turned around and his jeans were completely open. He's completely exposed. Price said she was supremely shocked, very uncomfortable, and still didn't want to insult him because he was kind to me and nice and doing me a favor. More inappropriate advances followed, according to Price. She said later that summer, Collins sauntered into the courtyard wearing only a bathrobe, sat down at her table, and started talking about how pretty my feet were. Price said, "I was definitely not comfortable. I'm doing the wince thing," registering her discomfort. Collins said to me, "I need to learn to take a compliment," she recalled. By this point, Price hadn't told her aunt or anyone else about the actor's behavior. Fearing him but still believing that he posed no true threat, Price accepted Collins' offer some time later to see several pieces of gold monkey memorabilia in his apartment. Collins pushed even further past their earlier encounter in Cindy's apartment, this time walking back from the bedroom completely nude. Price alleged, "My stomach just fell. I'm like, now I'm actually scared. I'm in this man's apartment. I'm in a bathing suit and he's naked. This is bad. This is really bad. I don't know what I'm going to do," she recalled. Price said she sat as rigid and tight and small as I could make myself until she saw Cindy walk by, home early from work. She bolted from Collins' apartment with no time for him to say, "Hey, don't talk about this." We didn't even have a chance to say bye. I immediately go into her apartment and get in the shower. Price went back home after that summer, thinking she'd never see Collins again. But around 1997, when she herself had become a commercial producer, Price said she encountered him on a set. I'm sitting at table at some point he sees me. The moment he saw me, he knew. You could see it in his face, the whole countenance. He knew who I was. She said that Collins eventually approached her and declared, "I want you to know what I did was extremely wrong. I feel terrible about it. Please forgive me." In Collins' leaked confession, he also discussed seeing one of his victims years later, saying he made an amends to her, though she felt temporary relief at the time. Price now feels differently about it. "Looking back, I don't think it was sincere," she said. "I think it was damage control because all of a sudden here is one of my little indiscretions that I shouldn't have done, who could hurt my career." Fans were shocked about the revelations of Collins' predatory behavior after his confession, given his squeaky clean public image as TV pastor. Reflecting on this disparity, Price noted, "Sometimes the biggest monsters have the prettiest faces."